Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
Yo, what's going on? I am Scoop Bruncher.
And I am S. Foster.
That's right, and you tuned in to another episode of the Viewers Anonymous podcast where we give you our very own reviews and takes of movies and TV straight out of Hollywood. What's going on with you, brother?
Can't call it, man. You know what I'm saying? Just getting this last pod off for the year. You know what I'm saying? Literally, like we this crunch time.
Right.
It is New Year's Eve for real.
We're about a good 5 hours away from, you know what I'm saying, the new year 2024.
Yeah, man. So getting this last pod off for the year, man, but feeling good, man. Just as you can see, not recording on location, but you know what I'm saying, you know how we do. We get it in and we get it done. So how about you, man? How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm feeling great. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no complaints, man. Getting ready, to bring in 2024 with a bang. Chilling out, you know what I'm saying, hanging out, enjoying these football games. So that's about it.
Hey man, I hear you, man. I just was able to watch my boys lock up the division today.
Absolutely.
Well, not the division. They locked up the division 2 weeks ago. They locked up the number 1 seed. That's what I meant to say. But I had a lot of words to say about my nose. But
okay,
we ain't gonna turn this into a football pod, man. So all I'm gonna say is congratulations on a great regular season in the ACC championship, man. That's all I'm gonna say on that, man. Because we'll be here all night.
Yeah, I wish I could say the same thing about, you know what I'm saying, the Big Ten championship and possibly a national championship, but my Browns got in the playoffs, so, you know what I'm saying, I'm still good.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
All right, man. So, this episode, I'm trying to think. I don't have a what we watching. So, I mean, if you wanted to go ahead and do it, we can go ahead and get to it. Well, yeah, I don't got one.
We can keep it pushing. I mean, the one that I got, I mean, it ain't really, I ain't gonna say it's nothing. And then I can't even remember if I said it when it first came out, but I think I did. Because I had to catch up on it. So I watched 3 episodes in the last day and a half. I've been on that Kanan, you know what I'm saying? That Power Book, 3? Yeah, Power Book 3, that Kanan joint, you know what I'm saying? Season 3. So I've been on that pretty heavy. But that's really all I've been watching. Other than when I told you I've been on that Rush Hour kick. That shit is hilarious.
Oh, okay.
I forgot how funny Rush Hour was, man. People be slipping on Rush Hour.
Absolutely.
That shit is hilarious.
Big time, man. They got a nice little franchise with that for sure. So this episode, hold on real quick. This episode is pretty special, man, because you know what I'm saying, this is a movie from your wheelhouse, you know what I'm saying, one of the movies of the Conjuring universe, you know what I'm saying. You're a huge fan of the Conjuring movies and of horror in general. So we're doing the Nun 2 today. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now this is a tough one for me. I don't even know how I'm about to break this down for real and try to explain this, because I ain't gonna lie to you. It's confusing. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got it, but it's still a little bit confusing. So I'm gonna do my best. All right. So basically this movie is about 2 young nuns, you know what I'm saying? And they're basically trying to get rid of this demonic spirit who is appearing as a nun or whatever. And it's looking for, I believe, a relic. And it ends up possessing this guy who is, I think he like a janitor or like a
kind of like a maintenance man or something. Yeah.
For the church. Yeah. He ends up getting possessed. And basically, they save this nigga life, and they send the demon back to hell. Is that at least a, you know what I'm saying, a pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it was, okay. They don't. The funny thing about this whole thing is they don't say the name in the Nun movies, but in The
Right.
Conjuring 2, we find out that the name is Valak.
Yeah, Valak is the demon, right?
Yeah, but what happened
Yeah.
to the Nun 1 was when they was trying to get the one person not to be possessed, they, went into that guy, the guy that they call Frenchie,
Mm-hmm.
and then they was just like they thought it was over because the one person wasn't possessed anymore, but the whole time he was going around doing shit and didn't even know he was fucking doing it. So that was strange. But I mean, like, yeah, that was pretty much like a basic synopsis of what happened in this one.
So my first initial thoughts of this movie was this demon is like the John Wick of nuns. It was getting all the it's getting all the nuns the fuck up out of here, bro. Like that motherfucker specialized in killing nuns. Like I was just sitting there watching, like, man, they taking an ass whoop. I think, you know what I'm saying, after seeing this movie, it should be like a thing where nuns gotta learn how to fight.
Yo, you wildin'.
You know what I'm saying? Because they definitely needed that. Because they was getting beat up left and right, getting killed left and right. Um, but nah, overall, man, I thought it was a great movie. You know what I'm saying? I thought that what they did, because I think old girl was the one in the first Nun, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think bringing her back was a good idea. Um, oh, what's old girl's name, man? Uh,
You know who the main girl, you know
Storm.
who's Storm Reed.
Yeah, Storm Reed. I think adding her into this movie too was dope. You know what I'm saying? It's good to see her getting some roles because she's a great young actor and she's doing a lot of good things out here. Last time I seen her, I believe, was on The Last of Us. But
Mm-hmm.
she's doing, you know, so she's getting some great roles. She's doing some great things. Um, but I think her character for me uh was super dope because you know what I'm saying, she was basically trying to find her faith. She was trying to find her way. And I think when you add that type of character into the dynamic that we're in, like where everybody else is so religious and so into the, you know what I'm saying, spiritual connections and all that. And then you have this one who's trying to find their way through all that and trying to believe and trying to, you know what I'm saying, have that because of the tragedy that she suffered in life. You add that in there, it makes it a little bit more interesting, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was dope. The guy, he did a great job um playing a possessed person. And I like the way that they made it too. It wasn't like he ain't have like no superpowers and no shit like that. I mean, he was busting their ass. Like when he punched that one nun and she flew back, I was like, that shit makes sense. But it wasn't over the top, which I
Yeah.
definitely appreciated. You know what I'm saying? I think that was important. You know what I'm saying? They made it as close to real as possible, and I definitely appreciated that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And also we gotta understand that, the main girl in this, I'm saying, I'm not saying she only got the role because of this, because I've seen her other than the first Nun movie, I've seen her in maybe one or two other movies. And it's Vera Farmiga's sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you look at her and you think of Vera, you see it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, so, Vera, being in all the Conjuring movies and, being able to, I would imagine that she put a word in for her sister to be, you know what I'm saying, to get into the Conjuring universe with her, I would imagine. Not that she couldn't get it off of talent, but you know what I mean, for her sister to be starting this thing with a Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2, and then, they bring in the Nun at whichever point that they did, I forget in which
Uh-huh.
order it was. But I know that those first two Conjuring movies came out before the Nun came out.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see two siblings to be able to carry this whole thing. But yeah, like I think that Storm was a great addition to it because I think she added a different flair to that role. And then
Uh-huh.
also what made it great about her role was that she didn't want to be there and she didn't even really believe like that.
Right.
And there was one conversation that they had when they were sitting outside when she was smoking. And she was like, well, there's going to be a point where, something's going to happen where you're going to basically be forced to believe. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And obviously we see that towards the end of the movie where that event happened that made her believe for that whole situation to go down. But now I think that one thing that we did kind of slightly disagree on was the fact that I felt that this one was a tad bit better than the first one, and you thought that the first
Okay.
one was a little better. And
Absolutely.
like for me, even the way they started this movie, that was just. I'm not talking about the part where the boy was, playing with the ball and he gets to there and the guy's like, "Hey, you're late. Go set up and get ready." I'm talking about right after that, man. When that boy, he kicked that ball into like a black room, and they don't show us, but I think the ball must have came back to him because you go up to the priest, it's like, yo, like something's going on, somebody's here, whatever. And so then it just shows you the scene. And like I told you, it'd be small shit that get me. And like they show you the bowl that had the quote unquote holy water in it. And that shit just evaporates. You know what I'm saying? And then you see the tss, and this little smoke come up, and then that damn priest got jacked up, came up in the air, and he set him on fire. Yo, wow, like, boy, that's how you start a movie, boy. I said, that's how you start a movie.
You know
That
what
shit was
though?
fire.
I agree with you. I think that was a dope ass intro to the movie. But I think to me the the best part of the intro wasn't that. It was the fact that they had him walking away from the church with the
The
shadow. You know
shadow.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That part to me, I was like, that's how you know some shit about to go down. That shit was dope as fuck because it was no words said. It wasn't nothing too extra. It wasn't nothing crazy, but it just had like a very, very eerie look and a very eerie feel to it. So like watching that, you knew like, oh yeah, this shit about to go crazy. So yeah, I will agree with you on that. I thought the intro was dope as hell. Um, so what like let's go, saying through the characters, man. I don't have the IMDb up, so I don't really know them by name. But what did you think of, or how did you feel about Storm Reed's character in this? Like, how do you feel like this impacted the movie, adding this type of character in there? Like I said before, having somebody who is having, I don't know if it was like her faith was being tested, or she just didn't have faith. You know what I'm saying? It seemed as if like she didn't believe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think like her mom died or something like that,
And that tends to happen.
and her
Like,
mom was Yeah, and her mom was really into it though.
yeah. And then another thing, like I mentioned earlier, she was forced to be there. Like she didn't want to go in the first place. But I think that a lot of the times when somebody dies to someone close, like they really starts to question faith. Like, why did they have to take this person from me? Like this person was great and like none of this makes sense. So you start to question things. And I think for her, and what I liked about her character was that she did question things. Like her whole thing to me, which I think that they need to start putting in more movies where they're talking about religion. They need to start putting in there, you know what I'm saying, people who question things. Because it seems like they get a little scared to do that sometimes. And I think that you should always have questions with everything. So that's what I really liked about her character was she wasn't just going with the flow. She didn't just easily believe things. And I also think that she brought like a different type of common sense because when those nuns was sitting in that circle and they was telling a story about what happened in the first one, and so they was like, yo, like what happened to that nun? And they was like, oh, well, we think she went crazy and and all this type of stuff like that. And old girl was in the back and I guess she just couldn't take no more of the story. She walks off. And then she turns around and remember, they sent old girl by herself. Storm fucking followed her
Yeah.
and was like, yo, like I need to go. And she was like, well, this is gonna test your faith because if you don't believe, there's gonna be some things that's gonna happen that's gonna kind of force you to believe. So
Uh-huh.
I think that common sense and that street smarts that she brought with that character, it it really gave to me it gave the movie a different type of life.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's another thing that I like about this one a little bit more because her character does kind of pop off the screen a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it was important for her to have the story that she had too. You know what I'm saying? With her mom being so religious and you know what I'm saying, her being forced to be there, it was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, no pun intended, but being the black sheep, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And with her um kind of feeling out of place, you know what I'm saying? Like she was smoking, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, she was, you know what I'm saying, artistic. So she was drawing and you know what I'm saying? Like she had other things that she seemed to be more into other than, you know what I'm saying, this life of being a nun. Even when, you know what I'm saying, like they had the meeting or whatever, you know, I think she was like late to the meeting or some shit like that. Or they was about to be late to the meeting or whatever. So it was, excuse me, it was dope. And then you could tell that they had some sort of connection. They had some type of, you know what I'm saying, like friendship or favoritism towards each other because, you know what I'm saying, like when they had that talk when she went to go find her or whatever and talk about what was going on, you know, she seemed like she was comfortable talking to her and comfortable being around her. And you know what I'm saying, like with everybody else, you could see she was a little bit standoffish. I thought that really helped out in the movie, man. It really made for you know what I'm saying, something different. The main character, you know what I'm saying, she was in the first one. She had already dealt with this, you know what I'm saying? So she already kind of knew, you know, what was going to be ahead of them. Um, how do you? I don't know, man, because I feel like she did a great job. I'm not saying she didn't do a great job, but I feel like because she's already been through it and she's already like seen what is, you know what I'm saying, shit that's possible and everything else like that. I feel like they should have added some sort of like fatigue or like trauma to her. You know what I'm saying? Like where she, because it just seemed like when she found out what was going on, she was like battle hardened, ready to, you know what I'm saying, like go to
No,
war instead of like
no, she
having that
wasn't.
fear and you know what I'm saying or something. I thought that would have been dope.
No, you got to remember
You don't
when
think
the
so?
no, because when the bishop or the priest or whatever the motherfucker was, when the cardinal, I think it was the cardinal. So when the cardinal came, because okay, so when they
Hmm.
came there, it was after that priest got burnt up in the what's the name in the church or whatever.
Right,
So they started to see a pattern
right.
of these priests dying and shit. So they kind of tied the thing to
Hmm.
what she was able to do in the first nun or whatever. So when they came to come see
Yeah.
her, they asked her to basically go investigate this stuff or go. I forget what they sent them, and she said no. And the dude was like, "What do you mean no?" She was like, "I battled this before, and I don't want to do it again." Like she told them no, and they forced her to go. She did not want to go.
Okay, so I missed that whole thing, man. I missed that whole thing,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Because it seemed to me like once she started like because I okay, so that's why I missed it then because I'm thinking of when they got on the train and she was
yeah. That
talking
was
to
right
Storm
before the
Reed's
train.
character.
Yeah, before the
Yeah.
train, that's when
Okay.
she had the meeting with the cardinal guy, and
Right.
because he was like begging her pardon, because he's not used to people telling him no. She was like no,
Yeah.
because she did not want to go, because she was like, I'm still tired and still dealing with that stuff from the first time, because like she
Hmm.
still wasn't. I mean, nobody's gonna be normal after experiencing something like that, and
Absolutely.
she was just like, "Yo, like I've done it once, and I'm not doing it again." So I don't think that she was, but I think that she flipped her thinking, because it's like once you in it, you ain't got, what I'm saying, you might as well, what I'm saying, be in it 1,000%. But she did not want to
Yeah.
go in the beginning of it.
So this and and another thing that I thought was odd too. I don't know if you thought this or you peeped this or whatever, but wasn't it weird at the fact that they were sending like a nun to go do that?
I think so too.
Like
Now,
usually
and
the priest is the person that goes to,
it's
you know what I'm saying?
exactly my point. And I don't remember what I don't remember. And I don't know if you do or not, but no, they did the same thing in the first one. The first one that
Yeah,
they sent nuns.
that's what I'm saying. I just thought it was weird that that was the person that they sent because like when you usually see like movies like The Exorcist or any movies that's following like the religious horror genre, like it's usually always like a priest or
Yep.
you know what I'm saying, like a priest in training or whatever. It's never you never see nuns really doing anything.
I do. I wish I had the answers. I don't know why they sent her
Yeah.
even the first time
Right.
because I remember what I do remember about the first one, like the priest, well, not the priest, but one of the nuns had hung herself in front of the church.
Uh-huh.
And I
Uh-huh.
remember them sending her, but I don't know what was the origins of them sending her. So when it came to this time around in the second one, that was like, yo, you fought this before and you beat it. So we want you to go back for seconds. And she was like, nah, like, I don't want to do that shit. Like, I did it one time. Like, and I don't blame her because she even told him, I almost died that day. And if it wasn't for,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, dude they call Frenchie, if it wasn't for him, she would have died that day. So I
Uh-huh.
don't blame her for telling him no, but you know how it goes, man. Men make the decisions. He was like, fuck that shit, you going regardless. So,
Absolutely.
and plus he had the
Absolutely.
power. So he had the
So
power to
the
force him.
yeah, yeah. So the groundskeeper, man, he was the one who, you know what I'm saying, like this whole thing was pretty much focused on because he was the one that was possessed. He had a he had like I don't know if she was like a teacher. Was she a teacher or something?
Yeah, he was a teacher. This dude keep falling in love with all the women that can't be with him.
Yeah, like so, you know what I'm saying? He was falling in love with her and she had a daughter. So he was kind of like, you know what I'm saying, like showing favoritism toward the daughter. Well, not really favoritism, but you know what I'm saying, kind of
Yeah,
looking
his
after the daughter.
favoritism.
I mean, it is, but I ain't want to, you know what I'm saying? Because like this is, you know what I'm saying, the girl of his dreams. This is her daughter. Like, yo, if I look out for her, you know what I'm saying, I'm in there. If I make sure she cool, boom, I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying, he definitely, you know what I'm saying, had a love interest for old girl, but the possession thing, like he it just man, it was some wild shit.
I never seen it
You know
like
what I'm
this
saying?
before.
To be I haven't either, but the thing that's weird to me is the fact that like they on church grounds. You know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be on holy land, and you know what I'm saying? Like they supposed to be in a holy place, but they still, you know what I'm saying? They still able to get taken over. You know what I'm saying, by this demonic spirit. I thought, to me, I thought that was super different. You know what I'm saying? Because usually, especially like watching the older films and stuff like that, you know, usually it's when you on holy ground, you safe. But
Yeah.
the fact that they weren't even safe in holy ground, I thought made this movie that much more better. Um, the same way the first one did, because in the first one, uh, it was whatever this the Valak spirit was. It was in a basement or a boarded off area in the basement or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, and then that was under the church. So I was like, yo, this is this is definitely not your normal, you know what I'm saying? This ain't the normal exorcism or, you know what I'm saying, like ghost movie or none of that shit. Like, cause usually this is where they can convene and be cool. The fact that they not even safe on these grounds, now it's like, you know what I'm saying, no holds barred, like ain't no rules at this point. I thought that was, you know what I'm saying, super, super interesting. And then they were in a whole different like church or something like that, right? Because they wasn't in the same
That was
church.
at a school.
School,
It was
but it was like a
like a
Catholic
Catholic
school or something.
too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
That I
see,
thought that was dope.
what I thought. Now you make a great point because we even talked about that. I don't remember which because we didn't do the first nine.
I
So
don't.
we might have.
I don't think so.
I think we was talking about um either it might have been either what we
I
watching.
think that's what we did. The Conjuring universe.
Yeah, cause we did that thing. But like, so you had brought that up before, which is
Hmm.
also odd. But I was talking about the fact of where my dude is halfway possessed. He'll be good,
Yeah.
and then it'll just.
Yeah. During the day.
It might be what it was. It might be like he was good during the day, and then at nighttime, Valak took
Yeah. I
over,
noticed that
and
too.
I was like, yo, like this is wild. Like I've never seen any possession movie where, you know what I'm saying, where you're halfway possessed, where you good for most
Right.
of the time, but then the spirit takes over you and you do some wild shit and you just don't remember what happened. So I thought
Yeah.
that was a good spin to put on it too, because any other movie that I've ever seen with a possessed person, like they was possessed the whole time.
Right. Do you think that? Do you think that with that happening, right, like him being cool during the day and then him basically, you know what I'm saying, being possessed at night, do you think that made the because technically he's considered the antagonist of this film
Mm-hmm.
because at this time he's possessed. So do you think that makes for like a better antagonist, or do you think like it's the opposite of, you know what I'm saying, of that?
I think it makes it better
Yeah.
because I feel like when we've seen them try to keep trying to do the same formula over and over and over and over. And
Right.
it's just like what it does is the movie, in my opinion, the movies don't really get good to towards the end. And
True.
because the whole time the person is possessed, and then it's like, so, but you got the whole lead up to the person get possessed. And then once they're fully
Hmm.
possessed, it's, you know what I'm saying, they come to the conclusion or whatnot. And I think that if you're able to be your regular self throughout the movie and then you possessed at night or however they did it, I think what that does is it brings it life throughout the movie. Like there's
Yeah.
up and down points. It isn't just, well, the first 45 minutes of the movie is boring and then
Hmm.
the back end is really good. That was my
Well,
thing
yeah,
about the Nun one.
they get right to it. I
Yeah,
mean, from the even like you said, the intro is boom right in your face, and then they give you a little time to cool off with, you know what I'm saying, kind of, it really ain't even a backstory. It's, well, for Storm Reed it was the backstory. For the main character, it was more so of just story building. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like you said, it wasn't long and drawn out. You probably got maybe about a good 15, 20 minutes of that, and then they get
yeah.
right back to it. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that because it gives you time to kind of figure out what's going on, but it doesn't give you, you know what I'm saying, this damn near whole movie of what's going on. It's just like, okay, this is one of those, you got to keep up with the pace. It's gonna give you this 20 minutes to figure out what it is, and then after that, it's action. And we getting right into it. Everything about to pop off, and I definitely appreciated that. That I think that's it. It helped the movie not to be so, you know what I'm saying, like so drawn out.
Yeah, because like I said, like even for instance, like the new Exorcist movie or whatever, it was
Hmm.
like, they're giving you the setup, and it's like it's building the story, but then it's like you got the small things that are happening, but the shit don't really get good to towards the end. And like this movie, it gives it to you in spots.
Right.
So it's like I think that makes it more. I think that makes it more
Hmm.
interesting that way because it isn't the same format of like, all right, so we know we're gonna get the whole build up story, and then it's not gonna get good to about an hour in. But they was able to
Yeah.
spread it apart. But your point on the whole, all of this stuff is happening on holy grounds, and it's like
Yeah.
that also gives this movie a whole nother different spin too, because anything but what I think it does is, think about it this way, right? Every
Mhm.
movie that we seen in this lane, whether it's the Omen or um any of the exorcist type movies, like, the cross is always the thing that gets you, oh, all we gotta do is go to a church. What this does
Uh-huh.
is it gives it that different spin of, like, for instance, we always like the formula to, you know, slasher movies. The girl always falls. And it's like
Always.
you get to a point where it's like, yo, I'm tired of seeing
And
this
they
bitch fall.
yeah, and they always make bad decisions.
Yeah. And it's like with this, it's like, all right, well, we gonna throw a monkey wrench in this thing, and we're gonna have this
Hmm.
person possessed, and then they're not possessed, and they're possessed, they're not possessed, and then you think a holy school or church grounds, you're safe. You know what?
Hmm.
In this situation, you're not. So
Right.
I love how they did that, because they're making it less predictable.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
how many times, especially me and you, go, we watch so much content. How many times we watching
Hmm.
a movie or a show and we can predict what's about to happen?
Dang near every time. Dang near every time. So much so that people won't watch movies with me because I'm like, oh yeah, that I already know what's about to happen, and I end up calling it out. They like, oh yeah, nah, we good. But you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right for sure. Um, so this is this is the thing to me too that I kind of got confused about, right? So it's really two things. The first thing is, was there, because I think in the first one they gave the backstory about the demon, right? In this one it was some kind of story that was being told about it, but I don't think it was the same. I think it was like elaborating on the first one.
Yes,
Or
yes,
was
the
I
story,
mistaken? It was. So that
it
that is what
was.
that was.
Yes.
Okay, okay. 'Cause I got confused on that. I'm like, is this supposed to be like more about what I'm saying, the spirit or what? Like, I wasn't getting it. And then second, what the fuck was the relic?
That's what I'm saying. They only say that name. Well, no, 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 no. Wait a minute. No, I'm thinking of Valak. My bad. The relic. What's the relic? Who's
They
that?
were saying something about that Valak was going after a relic or something. That I don't know, and I didn't understand what the relic was. They kept, but they definitely said like the demon is going after a relic or something, whatever the relic was, and it won't stop until it finds it.
Well, what it was doing was also, it was a pattern where that's how they was able to predict that
Yeah,
that Valak was at the school, was because there was a pattern in the
right.
map that he was making. Every priest that they killed, it was a pattern. So they knew, like, oh well, they're going in this direction and they're going this way. And it was like, okay, so what's the next, like, Catholic thing? And they was like, well, there's a Catholic school that's on this path.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what the path was and what they were doing or who they were looking for, but
Yeah, see, that's what I was confused because I'm like, what is the purpose of this? Like, what is it trying to get? Like, what is this thing that is after that's making it? You know what I'm saying? Like, kill all these priests and go on like that. And I think that's the one part where they kind of had me kind of waver off. And I was like, yeah, I think they lost me with this
yeah, that part of it, I don't get, and maybe they showed it and I just missed it. But
one. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know exactly what the pattern was. Like, I don't know if it was something where they collect so many souls that they, I don't know. You know how some of the shit
Hmm.
be, like, you get so many, like you get the rise of the devil or whatever the fuck that shit be. I don't
Right.
know what the
Right.
I don't know what the end game was, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what necessarily what the end game was and what they were looking for, but at the end of the day, the church was able to figure out that there was a pattern. So Valak was on
Hmm.
a pattern, but what I don't understand is why they don't figure out, like, the name and call it by its name in this, like they did in The Conjuring 2. Like,
Well,
That
I don't think they knew the name.
because that was before, because I saw a thing where it had it in order. Cause see,
Hmm.
Annabelle actually happened first. So it was
Right.
Annabelle, and then it was the Nun, and then the Conjuring movie. So what they did basically, they did
Wait,
what
no, it couldn't have been Annabelle first.
it was Annabelle, because think about Annabelle creation.
It
That
would have
shit
had
was
to
in like the
been. Um,
1930s.
that's what I'm saying. So it would have had to been. Okay, so it would have had to been Annabelle. It would have had to then been the
Then the
Curse of La
Nun.
Llorona.
Oh well, yeah, you know what?
Because
No,
you're forgetting
well,
about Amityville. You forgetting about Amityville. You forgetting
well,
about the
Amityville was
Curse
in
of
the
La Llorona.
70s.
It's a okay. So that's later on down the line.
But
And then it's
even
another
with
one that they had too.
even with Annabelle, I'm talking about like the way so the Conjuring, technically they they only touched on Amityville, but they never quote unquote did one, because they only talked about um
You right. You definitely right about that
in
because they just
the Conjuring
investigated
2.
it.
Yeah, they just investigated,
But
and they
they okay. So I seen the thing. I was reading the thing, and it was talking about the Conjuring universe, and it was basically saying that they add Amityville in there because of the fact that they did the investigation. So basically, they was just touching on all the stuff, like the Curse of La Llorona was one of them that they investigated. Uh, it's another one that I'm forgetting, man.
well, the devil made me do it. That was one where they, which was kind of weird because when I watched, so you remember when we were going to do um the documentary on Ed and Lorraine, right? And
Yeah.
so when I watched that, so the devil made me do it one was the one with the trial. Now,
Hmm.
when so the Conjuring 3, when you see the end credit shit, they said that the dude, this is the first time that they either consider or they use the demonic, whatever how they put it.
Yeah.
But with the documentary said they lost, but the movie made it seem like they
Right.
won, and he ended up
Right.
going to a psychiatric clinic or whatever. But in the documentary, they
Hmm.
put it like they lost, so that's what kind of confused me. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I believe that the Annabelle stuff happened early, like in like the 30s, not the 30s, but maybe like the 40s, and then the Nun came
Okay.
in the 50s. But I can't
Yeah.
remember the Curse of La Llorona. I can't remember if that was before or after. But the point I was making was like the Conjuring movie came out first, and then those
Right.
movies followed. So they pulled like
Absolutely.
kind of the same thing, like Star Wars, like
Hmm.
and what's the name is the same way. Oh man, Marvel, Avengers shit, like that order is jumbled around too, where some of the
Oh
stuff
yeah.
happened
Yeah.
before and all this other
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yeah, that the Conjuring universe
Right.
is really like they put them out at their expense, but yeah, I don't understand but it might be what you said. Maybe in the two Nun movies, they don't know what the names are, because I think the Conjuring 2,
Right.
I think that was in the 70s, I believe. And like I said,
Yeah.
the Nun stuff happens in the 50s. So maybe Lorraine was the only person that could figure out that the name was Valak. And
Hmm.
maybe they haven't figured it out yet in the Nun joint. So I don't know. I just felt like that would have brought a little bit more to the
It would
movie.
have made it. Yeah, it would have made it. Well, see, this is the thing too, right? I think like the fact that they are going up against this spirit or this entity that they don't really know anything about except for whatever she had to deal with the last time. I think that makes this movie, you know what I'm saying, on that level of good to where it's like, okay, this is something that they have no idea what. I mean, they know what it is, but they don't really have no idea what it is. They don't know what the purpose of it is. They just know that it's going around and killing priests, and they just got to stop it. And I think that simplicity makes this movie. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, it makes it worth watching, but it also
Mhm.
makes it, you know what I'm saying, one of those movies where you can pay attention to what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And you can keep up with what's going on. It's not too much stuff that's happening where you confused or you got to know about this to understand what's going. You don't have to do none of that. This is one of those movies that you can watch. You can see what's going on, and you can pretty much be tuned into it while you're watching it. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying, do no research, none of that shit. It's just one of them movies where it's hitting you right in the face with everything that it got. You know what I'm saying? And I think it makes it a very watchable movie because of that. Um, what did you think of just about the story of this though? Like, you know what I'm saying, her having to return, you know what I'm saying, the nuns trying to come together to defeat the demon. Damn, I couldn't get that out. To defeat the demon, you know what I'm saying, to get rid of him. But like I said, they was getting taken out John Wick style. It was crazy. Um, how did you think this story kind of, you know what I'm saying, did compared to the universe and compared to the first one?
Oh well, damn! If you gonna throw the universe in there, I mean, if you throw the universe in there, I mean, it's not um as high,
Right.
but when I think about this movie, I think the story was pretty good. The way that they was to tie it together into the first one, you know how I am with a
Mm-hmm.
continuous story. Um, they was able to, because they were showing scenes from the first one in the
Yep.
second one.
Yep.
And they did it multiple times, so they was able to tie those two together. And then also the whole thing of, they using the myth with those kids when they took that one girl in that basement joint, and they that damn, oh, what do you call those things that uh shit, the window, but it's not a window. It got the designs on it, and they had that goat.
Oh, you talking about the mosaic thing?
Yeah, and they was like, and like just those girls, hearing that myth of like, oh well, if you stand in the right spot, then the goat eyes are gonna turn red, and then that's when you know that the evil is here, or whatever the case may be. And then they were able to go back to that goat,
Mm-hmm.
shine a light, and then find out that that laser beam pointed to something that they had to dig up. So I thought that was pretty dope. And then the whole story of the the one nun lady that was a bitch to everybody, but we find out that she was a bitch to everybody because her son had died. And then when she went into that room, she
Mm-hmm.
saw her son. Her dead son was in there, and he hit her ass upside the head with a
Right.
he knocked her ass out. That shit was funny. But not like, but I,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the stories that they added in this, that it was
That
dope.
shit was crazy.
That was super crazy. I mean, can you imagine seeing your dead son attacking your ass? You know what I'm saying, he hit you upside the head with whatever the hell that damn thing was. Um,
Yeah.
so no, I thought that the storyline was pretty good. Now I will say that in my opinion, I think that the nun ones, they drag a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they are as exciting. I don't want to call it exciting, but I feel like the Conjuring ones give you. I feel like they give you a little bit more, but I think it's because Ed and Lorraine are so, what I'm saying, good at what they do, that they kind of, fill some of that
I'm gonna be
space. But
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. And this is just my personal opinion. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just because we watching a movie about nuns. Nothing about nuns
What?
is exciting.
I mean, yeah, even the outfits. I mean, the only good nun move I
Yeah,
ever seen was Sister Act.
right. And even then, like it's some points in there where it's like, all right, get to the good shit. But I think it's just the fact that it's just the fact that we watching a movie about nuns, but at the same time, we also don't get, and this is once again my opinion, we also don't get enough of Valak in the movie. You know what I'm saying? It's only we only get it in doses instead of getting it
Hmm.
throughout the movie. And I feel like if you add a little bit more of that, it gets way better. It gets way better.
Yeah, like it wasn't enough depth. Like it was only a
Yeah,
few. But I will
yeah.
give you this
Especially
though.
with what we know it was capable of.
Now, it did not discriminate against kids because it jacked that one kid up.
Oh no,
Oh yeah, that kid got it.
absolutely,
You know what I'm saying?
absolutely, absolutely.
So, and that's something that we're starting to see a little bit more in movies. I'm telling you, yo, when I saw the first time and look, and I could be, because I watched so much content, so many years, maybe just some stuff slipped. But yo,
Hmm.
when I seen the the remake of it, I think the one that came out in 17, boy, when Georgie got his motherfucker arm bit off and was in that damn road crying, and then that Pennywise put. But I ain't never seen a kid get fucked up like that before.
Yeah,
Like
and
not like that.
I think that's what yeah, I think that's what kind of sets, you know what I'm saying, like certain things, certain movies apart from, you know what I'm saying, the ones that came before it is the fact that they take that extra step. You know what I'm saying? Because usually in movies you don't ever see like a kid get hurt. You don't really see old people get hurt. And even if so like even if something does happen to them, it's always like an implication. It's never we
Yeah, they
actually
don't
see it.
show it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that they actually even when the little boy hit her with in the head with the hammer, you know what I'm saying? It's like you don't get a chance to usually see that. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that we're actually seeing it happen, I think, you know what I'm saying, that's what gives it that edge. That's what kind of pushes it up above a couple of the others because you know what I'm saying, we're seeing something that we're not used to seeing. It's that much more gruesome. It's that much more you know what I'm saying? Like it's that much more scarier because, you know, at this point it's like this is total anarchy. Ain't no rules.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't no boundaries. It's giving everything you need right there. So I think that's definitely something that sets this apart from, you know what I'm saying, other films and other movies in this specific genre.
Yeah. So let me ask you this real quick. So
Hmm.
it was the third one. It was the third one where they touched on the Amityville one. Okay. With
Hmm.
all of the times where they tried to do it. Now, even though I think the one with Ryan Reynolds in it was really good, but do you think that we need a Conjuring version of the Amityville house? Because the Amityville, like, what makes that story, in my opinion, I think the reason why they use the story so much is because there was a family that lived there. Dude went and shot everybody while they were fucking asleep.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He came out to be the lone survivor. And the more they talked to him, he admitted doing it, saying that the devil made me do it. And then they sold the house. And then these motherfuckers got to telling everybody a whole bunch of crazy shit happened while we were there and we fucking left. So do you think that we need a Ed and Lorraine version of the Amityville house? Or you think we just need to leave that damn house alone?
Nah, I think that adding that to the Conjuring universe is only going to make it better. Only because I think that what they tend to do in this universe is they tend to tell stories, you know what I'm saying, way differently than we see them in other situations, right? So for me, my favorite out of this universe is the Curse of La Llorona. Um, And even in that, right? Like it's a single mom with the two boys, and you know what I'm saying. She's trying to fight off this spirit that's trying to pretty much, you know what I'm saying, off everybody in there and take her kids from her. Just that, even in that story, it was fresh, it was new. I never heard of this before, and people talk about how it's a real thing, and how it, you know what I'm saying, it's supposed to be like this. I guess it's supposed to be like a Mexican myth or something like that, like the chupacabra and shit like that.
Hmm.
So you know what I'm saying, like just the fact that they were able to bring that to life the way that they did, I think they have a very different way of storytelling, even with the Annabelle's, you know what I'm saying, situations. Like how you said, like the Annabelle doll was really like a rag doll or whatever, but they turned it into this porcelain doll that really looked super fucking creepy, and you know what I'm saying. Or even just even watching the Conjuring films, like the Conjuring films are amazing.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They have a way of just putting things together that make you want to watch them. So I feel like they could definitely just find a way to make the Amityville story different from the others, but also still be able to tell the story, still be able to show you what happened and what's going on. But they'll find a way to do it to where it'll feel like nothing we've seen before. So I definitely think they should add that in there, especially knowing that Ed and Lorraine, you know what I'm saying, investigated and did what they did. So I wouldn't mind that being a part of the Conjuring universe at all.
Okay. All right. I personally, I mean, I do too, but I don't think they're going to. I think if they touched on it in the first, like, I don't know, 5 minutes of the third one, I just
Hmm.
feel like they're not going to make it a whole movie. But it could, because it, you know what? I take that back, because they did that with Annabelle. The first 5 minutes of the first Conjuring
Hmm.
was about the Annabelle doll.
And now look how many Annabelle movies they got.
Yeah, so it could be. It could be. I take that back. I take that back. I had to think about it, because the Conjuring movie was about, that one family in that house and the little Rory kid that you were seeing in that damn thing. But
Hmm.
the first like 5-10 minutes of the movie, it was Ed and Lorraine talking to these girls, these nurses, and they were
Hmm.
talking about the doll doing, what I'm saying, some wild shit or whatever, whatnot. So maybe we will. I hope
Yeah,
so. I think it'd be dope.
I agree, man. I definitely agree. So I I think that's about it, man. You ready to do Firefly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yoga fire! Yoga flame!
So what are we giving this thing, man? What are you rating it?
All right, man. Like I said, I mean the cast is pretty good. Some of the characters from the first one, but they brought in Storm. I think she brought a good addition to it. But man, I gotta be honest with you, man. I hate to say this, but like the nun ones, and I think you brought up a good idea where you were just saying like, I think that nuns aren't just that intriguing, and like the
Hmm.
story kind of lag a little bit, so that kind of brings it down and make it a little boring. Because I do find myself, the two times that I watched it, you know what I'm saying, I found myself looking at my phone in between, what I'm saying, scenes and shit. So I'm gonna
Absolutely.
have to get it. I'm gonna have to give it a 3.5. It's not a bad movie. It's not a terrible movie. It
Right.
definitely have its moments, but it just don't hold me in the whole time, man. So I'm gonna have to give it a 3.5.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go a half a step under you, man. I'm giving it a three. And majority for the things that you said, but just for the fact that I feel like we should have got more of the Valak demon. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that should have been more prominent in this film, because we already know what's going on from the first one. We know that it's
Mm-hmm.
back. We know that it's, you know what I'm saying, coming back to hunt them, and also I'm giving it a three because of the whole path thing. Like they put that in there, and then we never got back to that. We don't know why it was on the path that it was on. We don't know what it was looking for, what it was trying to do, what the whole purpose of it even coming and, you know what I'm saying, possessing somebody for. We don't have any idea of what that is. We just know that it possessed somebody, and then they basically did an exorcism in a weird way. And you know what I'm saying? We know that Storm Reed's character started having faith after all the shit was over. So I just feel like if we would have had a little bit more of the demon, and if we would have figured out what the purpose for the demon being there was, then all of this would have been way, way better. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, it's still a good movie. It's definitely rewatchable, so it's not like it's a one thing and then you out of there. You could definitely go back and rewatch this. So yeah, 3 it is.
Okay, not mad at it.
All right, man. Let's go ahead and jump into this coming soon, man.
Let's do it.
Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
All right, so next episode, which will be the anniversary episode, you know what I'm saying? The first episode of 2024. We bringing you, I believe, what the best of 2023, right?
Yeah, the best
Yeah,
movie. We're just gonna do movies, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just movies. The best movies.
Because if we do TV shows, we have to do a two-parter.
Yeah, it'll get wild.
Yeah, but definitely, we definitely doing the best movies of 2023. So you guys get ready for that. I can't wait to, you know what I'm saying, go through these lists and check some of these out just to, you know what I'm saying, see how many movies we watched this year and then just going back and double checking those. And it's gonna be a good one, man. But you know, if you guys want to make your own list, if you guys want to, you know what I'm saying, hit us with your top fives of this year, feel free to do that. I think that would be dope too to check out some of the stuff that people are out here, you know what I'm saying, watching and seeing how many movies we can get alike and stuff like that. But if you enjoyed this film, if you didn't enjoy this film, if you too thought that, you know, a non-smoking on film is something that you would never see, hit us up on the socials on on Instagram and X at View9Pod, on Facebook VA Pod Watch Group. Uh, you can also join our community on X, Viewers Anonymous, and then don't forget, man, you can subscribe to our podcast, $2.99 a month, where you can get extra episodes. It's going to be all the behind the scenes episodes that we're going to do. Going to be hitting you over the head with some great content, so get ready. Be prepared for that. And if you'd like to follow me personally, you can follow me on X. I got a link tree in my bio. You can follow me everywhere else there.
And y'all can find me at s.foster8 on Instagram and on X at 28 minutes or less pod. That's just on IG. Follow the podcast 28 minutes or less on all major platforms. Still haven't gotten to that list yet, but it will be coming out at the beginning of the year. So be on the lookout for the episode. It will be coming soon. My best albums of the year. And that's all I got, man.
Cool, man. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. We hope that you had a very bountiful and healthy and blessed 2023, and we hope that you have an even more bountiful, blessed, and you know what I'm saying, more successful 2024. Happy New Year to everybody. And with that being said, man, like they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.
Cut.
All right, brother, that's that.
All right, bro.
All right, man. Enjoy your night, man. Happy New Year, my brother. You know what I'm
Same
saying?
to you,
Be
man.
safe. You know what I'm saying? Don't do nothing crazy. And I'll see you next year.
Yes, sir, man. You too, man.
All right, bro.
All right, bro.